the next bunch of yellows, I would like for you to pay attention to 1.2.5. And the math teachers in the room will really appreciate the challenge here. Analyze the correctness, usability, functionality, and suitability of the computation artifact. See, it's almost like a crosswalks here. You're giving them openness, you're telling them go do, figure it out. But then they come up with something that's really not very good. And then it's not matching the rubrics. Now what do you do? Right? So do you give them a bad grade? Then the safe place is gone.
But Deepa, what if you, because that's a problem. So what if you had that off at the pass by giving them, again, giving them a sandbox they have to play in, maybe a list of topics that they can design something for, instead of just, because if you let the inmates run the asylum, you will run into that. You'll run into, because I see it with really little 5, 6, and 7, 8-year-olds. If you don't give them some kind of structure, they'll get really creative, and sometimes it's just not appropriate. I could explain more, I don't want to bore you, but I understand what you're saying. So I do think that you'd have to create, I guess my end around, I'd give them a list of different topics.
Right.
Here are some things that you could do. You know, pick one and have at it. How would you build that? How would you build a program or an app that will let you do whatever? I mean,
And maybe don't release the rubrics ahead in time. So let them come up with something, so they've done exploratory. And then now say, okay, give them an intermediate grade maybe, which is nice and rosy and safe place. I love that, watch me use it a lot. And then give them the rubric now and say for a hard grade, for a much more weightier assignment weight, like in my classroom, labs don't count for much at all because it's a safe place. I want them to make as much as mistakes as possible. So a lab gets a grade, that they can get 100 or a 99 or a 95. Then now I put the rubric down, and that becomes like a small project. Will that work? Something like that, yeah.
I approve their topics. When it's a big project,
Right.
I approve it because if I know it's not going to work for them, then I'll say, no, this topic won't work. Go back and find me something else.
Right. And then I've said this so many times for various PTs, and we'll meet in October again, where I definitely emphasize, don't be afraid to make them go back and say, nope, sorry, I think you can do better. They get mad, especially some of the boys. They just think they know tag. Oh, I have to tell you this. So there is a danger in this facilitator way, right? And we all as teachers know. The teenage kid thinks they know more than us, right? And there will be an occasion when the child asks a question. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know it, I can figure it out tonight, and I still am the teacher here. Just like we do to our own kids.
That goes a very long way towards, I wanted to say it earlier, but I just didn't get to it. That goes a long way to what she said.
Right.
And it will. And it will blow up on you in the middle of class. So if you're one that wants to walk in there as the all-knowing teacher, this will be hard for you because it will fail on you in the middle of class. Or a resource will change or an update will come through. And what you've had planned out may have worked 2 hours before. Be prepared for it and learn from it. You can have I have more fun when we get errors in class. I have more fun working through them with the kids than the lesson I might have planned. Because they're going to find creative, weird things that you never thought of. And you will learn more from that, have more fun with that than anything else.
Very well said. I don't need to add any more. I was going to add a whole bunch, but honestly, he has said it very well. Thank you. Right? And those are things, in fact, that is the single biggest reason why I feel many teachers don't want to teach CS. So many times a teacher will come into CTAE in my school saying, oh, I'm a marketing teacher, but I'll be more than happy to teach, which is a course called Computing in the Modern World. I taught all the courses after that, the more advanced courses, but we needed somebody for the introductory. And they'd come in, they'll teach that 1 year, and then they'll go off to marketing. They'll go off to consumer science, whatever. And the primary reason is because they tried to be the expert, and they're not willing to say, I don't know, let's figure it out together. How in the world? Let's say you do manage to figure out Snap inside out. What next? I mean, Snap is not like where it was last year at this time. Several people are asking me why I didn't do Snap last year. It wasn't here. The project was just not here. I mean, it was, it was the software tool was not ready. So who knows what next year will be? Maybe it's better than this. You guys may come back and tell us that Snap is not the way to go. So then now you spent all this entire year being an expert on this, and then now you have to learn again, and then you're going to say, I don't want to teach this anymore. So rather than that, let it be exploratory, and it's okay to make a mistake, but that inner confidence, and that's what is so good about this PD and the MOOC, is that inner confidence that, you know what, I've got the training I need, and I'm good. If there's one thing I'd like for you to take back, that's one thing, that's a very, very important takeaway. So abstraction, so the Create PT is a spin-off from the Create big idea, the programming big idea, the abstraction big idea, and the algorithm big idea. One of the biggest things early on in fall when we met, when we came up with the Create PT, we said we wanted to not have a performance task that assessed only one big idea. We wanted it to assess several big ideas because we felt no one big idea can be taught in isolation. So that's why we even came up with names like Create and not Programming. And people get really annoyed because the Create performance task is primarily programming. So why are you giving it a fancy name? Because really many of the learning objectives that you will be covering in using the Create PT are in creativity, in abstraction, in algorithms, and in programming. And that's how I recommend you teach it even in your classroom. That's how the pacing guide is, that's how the syllabus is. It's not one big idea at a time, but it is one concept, one tool, one idea, one scaffolding, a bunch of scaffolding activities leading to one big performance task. That's been the big philosophy behind the course. And don't forget, underlying is the entire computational thinking practice, right?